My name is Rebecca. I'm 78 years old. A widow. A mother. And once a wife who cooked 3 meals a day and paid every bill on time. My husband, Harold, passed away 48 years after we said, I do. Cancer took him swiftly, mercilessly. The silence in our house became unbearable. For 6 months I stayed there, dusting his slippers, cooking his favorite soup, pouring 2 cups of tea out of habit. Then my son Thomas came by. Mom, you shouldn't be alone. Why don't you come live with us for a while? It sounded like love. His wife Lily welcomed me with a smile so wide it made my chest ache. Of course, Rebecca, she cooed, holding my hands like I was a fragile porcelain doll. We'd love to have you here. She made me peppermint tea, brought an extra pillow for my back, even put up a photo of Harold on the living room shelf. I cried that night thinking how lucky I was. But kindness like that doesn't last when it's rehearsed. The cracks begin to show. First it was small things. My tea canisters moved to the top shelf. We're organizing, she'd smile. Then a request to vacuum while they worked. Of course I did. I folded their laundry because the maid service was too expensive. I made dinner every night. Thomas said thank you sometimes. Sometimes he didn't. Then one morning the fridge beeped. It had a child lock. Lily laughed. Oh no, silly thing. Food tracking diet stuff. She said it casually, but I saw her glance at Thomas. He looked down at his phone, pretending not to notice. I started keeping crackers in my bedroom drawer. Days later, the tea tasted strange. Once I woke up groggy on the couch with no memory of how I got there, my mouth dry, my head spinning. Lily said, Oh, you must have dozed off. You're getting old, Rebecca. It's normal. Her voice was soft, pitying, but her eyes were sharp, calculating. I started pouring my own tea after that. The house changed around me. My old armchair disappeared. Sold it on Facebook Marketplace, Lily said. Didn't match the aesthetic. Harold's photo vanished. My family cookbook. Lost during spring cleaning. They never asked what I wanted to keep. My name was no longer mentioned at dinner. I had become the background hum of an appliance, noticed only when broken or in the way. Still I stayed silent. I told myself this was just transition. Adjustment. Grief makes you pliable, patient, foolish. The whispers in the hallway. Then one morning I stood frozen in the hallway, hands still damp from the towel I just hung. They didn't know I was listening. They never did. She's draining us like a tick. Lily's bored. Annoyed voice drifted from the dining room. The words hit me harder than the cold tiles beneath my feet. I should have walked away. Should have let it pass like all the other insults I'd endured quietly. But this one rooted itself inside me, deep and pulsing. I peeked around the corner. Lily sat at the dining table, manicured fingers flipping through a glossy magazine. Thomas stood nearby, awkward and half-involved as always. I'm serious, Thomas, she continued, tapping her nail against her mug. Your mother isn't contributing anything. She sleeps, eats, and wanders around like a damn ghost. I didn't sign up for elder care. This is our house, our life. We want kids. We need space. We can't do that with her lurking around. Thomas sighed, but he didn't disagree. She'll say no, he mumbled. She won't, Lily said. She's too tired to fight. We just need a doctor's note or something. She's already halfway there. You saw how confused she was last week. I wasn't confused. I had been awake for 36 hours straight because the sleeping pills she'd slipped into my drink had left me groggy and anxious. But I had cleaned their bathroom anyway. We get her evaluated, Lily went on. And then if the results are promising, we proceed. Conservatorship or whatever. At her age, it'll fly through. Thomas ran a hand through his thinning hair. I don't know, Lily. That's still my mom. She leaned in close, her voice low, slicing. She's not your mom anymore. She's a liability. Look at her. She talks to herself, forgets things, barely moves. She's halfway to the grave, and I'm not waiting until she drags us down with her. That's when I backed away, my heart pounding. I walked quietly back to the guest room and sat on the edge of the bed, hands trembling, mind spinning. They wanted me gone. No, they wanted me declared mentally unfit. They wanted me signed away like some abandoned piece of furniture. What did they think I had? They thought I was poor. Good. Let them think that. They never asked what Harold left behind. Never wondered why I never cashed the joint account. Never saw the locked drawer in my nightstand where I kept his last will and testament. The one that named me sole beneficiary of $5.2 million in investments in real estate, quietly sold off the year before he passed. They didn't know. They never asked. And now they had made a fatal mistake. They thought I was alone. But I wasn't. I still had one thing left they didn't, memory. And I remembered every word she said when she thought I was too old to matter. I remembered and I would not forget. The quiet war begins. In those early days with them, I tried to keep myself useful. I cooked, cleaned, and organized. It wasn't pride, it was survival. If I could be helpful, if I could blend into the wallpaper, maybe they'd let me stay in peace. No one knew the house belonged to me. After Harold died, everything was transferred into my name, including the deed to this house. We had bought it when Thomas started college, thinking it might be an investment for his future, but we never told him. Harold and I agreed some things should be earned, not handed over like candy. So when Thomas and Lily moved in after their wedding, we let them believe it was a generous rental from an anonymous benefactor. I paid the taxes, the maintenance, even the water bill, all through a trust. No one asked questions. No one said thank you either. Lily liked to think of herself as the queen of the house. She had a taste for pastel furniture and Pinterest-style renovations. I'd often come home to find wallpaper stripped, cabinets replaced, walls painted in shades of beige I couldn't name. "You smell like mothballs and regret," she told me one morning as I stood in the hallway clutching a basket of clean towels. I said nothing, just turned back toward the laundry room. She thrived on humiliation. It was in the way she'd loudly correct me when guests were over. "No, Rebecca, we use the espresso machine now, not that drip thing." Or how she'd talk about me like I wasn't even in the room. At dinner one evening with two of her friends, she said, "I swear having her around is like living with a museum exhibit. Everything smells like the past, and it never shuts up." Her friends laughed. Thomas looked down at his plate and stabbed at his peas. He never spoke up. Never defended me. Not once. "You better die before Christmas," she said one afternoon while reorganizing the living room. "We're redecorating." I was dusting the windowsills nearby. She said it so casually, like she was talking about replacing a throw pillow. I went to my room that night and cried. Not loud enough for them to hear, of course. Just quiet tears into the same pillow I'd used for 30 years, the one Harold gave me on our first trip to Cape Cod. The next morning, I began my quiet war. I didn't yell. I didn't confront. I simply started writing. Every word she said. I logged in a little notebook hidden beneath the drawer liner in my nightstand. December 3rd. She left crumbs on the counter. I should shove those crackers down her throat. December 10th. Thomas, if you don't talk to her, I will, and I won't be nice this time. December 17th. She wears that same sweater every damn day. I swear it smells like death. Words are weapons, and Lily had no idea I was collecting hers like bullets. But words alone wouldn't be enough. I needed proof. So I took one of Harold's old picture frames, a heavy oak one with a floral border, and hollowed out the back just enough to place a mini voice recorder inside. I positioned it on the mantel, angled just so. Each night while they slept, I downloaded the day's audio to a flash drive tucked in the lining of my purse. I gave it a label they would never check. Church Hymns 1980 to 1987. For weeks I recorded. I captured her telling Thomas the first was faking my forgetfulness, exaggerating my age. I captured the way she scoffed when I asked for help carrying groceries. The way she laughed when I mispronounced her hair serum. The way she hissed, "She's a parasite," when she thought no one was listening. But I was always listening. And I was learning something important. Lily wasn't just cruel. She was calculating. She had a way of turning everything into evidence against me. If I dropped a glass, it became another sign of decline. If I forgot to put the milk back, it was dementia, clearly. She even kept a private folder on her computer called Rebecca Notes. I saw it once briefly when she left the screen unlocked. It listed every mistake I'd made since August. She was building a case against me. Slowly, meticulously. Terrified me. But it also woke something inside me I hadn't felt since Harold died. A fierce, quiet strength. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't weak. And I was done pretending not to notice. The unveiling. Dinner was quiet that night. Too quiet. I had made roasted chicken with rosemary, mashed potatoes, and a green bean salad the way Thomas used to like it, with a hint of lemon zest. No one said thank you. No one said anything at all until Lily cleared her throat and pushed back her chair with that pointed little smile she wore when she was about to perform. She retrieved a stack of neatly clipped papers in a bright blue folder from behind her chair. She walked over and set it down beside my plate, right on the cloth napkin I had ironed that morning. "Let the maid sign the papers," she said loud and clear, looking at Thomas, not me. "She doesn't even know what they say." I looked down at the folder. Thomas looked at his glass. There was a long pause. I reached for my reading glasses, even though I didn't need them for large print anymore. I needed a moment to steady the tremble in my hand. My heart was thudding against my ribs like a war drum. Thomas didn't say a word. Not a whisper of protest. Just kept staring into his drink like the answer might be at the bottom. I opened the folder slowly, deliberately, page after page of legal language. Dense, small font paragraphs, words like durable power of attorney, revocation rights, and asset transfer. It was dressed up like estate planning, but I had seen enough paperwork in my lifetime to know this was no mere housekeeping. They were trying to take control of everything. Lily poured herself a glass of wine, swirled it, and took a delicate sip like she was watching a scene from a play she had directed herself. "It's just financial housekeeping," she said lightly, as if I had asked. "Standard stuff. We're just organizing things so everyone's protected in case anything happens." She said happens with such a sugary tone, I nearly gagged. As if the thing that might happen wasn't already being planned with precision behind my back. I nodded slowly. I lifted the first page again and made a show of squinting. "I'm not sure I understand this part here," I said, pointing to a paragraph near the bottom. "What does this word mean?" "Irrevocable." Lily laughed, not kindly. "It just means it makes things easier down the line. It's legal talk. Nothing to worry about." I turned to Thomas. "Do you know what's in this?" He finally looked up, eyes glassy. "It's fine, Mom. It's just to help us help you, so you don't have to worry about bills or anything." I smiled faintly and turned another page. My hands were shaking just enough to make it believable. "Do I need a lawyer to look at this?" Lily stiffened. "That's not necessary. We already checked with someone. It's all clean. We're just simplifying things." I gave a weak little laugh. "Well, I suppose that makes sense. I'm not as sharp as I used to be." That lie slipped from my lips like silk. They bought it without blinking. She thought I would sign that night, shuffle over to the pen, and give away what little they believed I had. But instead I flipped the pages carefully, nodding at each one, buying time. I asked her to explain 3 more clauses. I pretended not to understand. I asked for water. I asked if it was too late to take my evening medication. All of it was stalling, and inside me, something dark and fierce began to take shape. They thought I was too slow, too stupid, too old to see what they were doing. But I was none of those things. I was just quiet. And quiet doesn't mean blind. The trap is set. That night I stayed up in my room, staring at the ceiling, the words of the documents replaying in my head. They wanted full financial control. If I signed that packet, they could sell the house, drain the accounts, even move me into a care facility without my consent. I pulled out my journal and jotted down the date, the time, what Lily had said word for word. Then I retrieved the flash drive from its hiding place and backed up that night's audio from the frame recorder. Her voice came through clearly. "She doesn't even know what they say. They wanted me to disappear without a fight. But I had no intention of vanishing quietly. I began my own plan that night, listening to their muffled laughter downstairs. Let them think the maid couldn't read. Let them think the old woman would just sign. It started with a smile, as most of Lily's traps did. "We scheduled a quick checkup for you, Rebecca," she said one morning over dry toast and silent tension. "Just to monitor your blood pressure and general health. You know, at your age, it's important to stay ahead of things." She made it sound so reasonable, so caring. Thomas nodded along, barely looking at me. "It's just routine, Mom. Lily's friend recommended a clinic. They're really good with senior care." I knew better than to protest. Resistance only fed her performance. I nodded, smiled back, and sipped my tea, the one I made myself now, always. I had stopped letting Lily serve me anything weeks ago. The appointment was set for Friday afternoon. Lily drove me there herself. She wore a pearl-white blouse and oversized sunglasses, her voice high and falsely cheerful. "This place is so great," she said, turning into a quiet medical complex. "Dr. Myers is very gentle. You'll love her." She parked and came around to open my door like I was an honored guest, not a prisoner being walked into her own ambush. Inside, the receptionist greeted us with a bright smile and a clipboard. I noticed there were no charts on the walls about heart health or cholesterol. Instead, everything read like a pamphlet for cognitive decline. Understanding early dementia, how to prepare for memory loss, bent to consider conservatorship. I glanced at Lily. She was texting. A woman in her 40s called my name. Dr. Myers. She had soft curls and clinical eyes. Her handshake was firm but impersonal. We went into a plain white room with 2 chairs, a small desk, and a digital recorder in plain view. There was no exam table, no stethoscope, no medical instruments at all. "I understand you've been experiencing some memory trouble," she said after I sat down. I blinked. "No, I've been quite sharp lately. I read a novel just last week." Dr. Myers smiled gently as if I had said something precious and irrelevant. "We just want to do a few short evaluations. Nothing stressful." She started with a memory test. Names, numbers, short sequences. Then came orientation, what day it was, who the president was, what city we were in. I answered everything correctly. Then abstraction. "If you had to explain don't cry over spilled milk, what would you say it means?" I answered clearly. "It means there's no point in mourning what's already done." She wrote something down without looking up. Another question. "If a train is moving west at 60 miles per hour and a car is moving east at 40, how far apart are they after 30 minutes? I laughed. "I'm not applying to NASA, am I?" She didn't laugh. She just kept writing. The questions got stranger. "Do you ever hear voices when no one is around? Do you often feel like people are watching you? Have you ever wanted to hurt yourself or others?" I answered calmly, firmly, truthfully. No to all. But she kept writing. When we finished, she thanked me for my time and asked me to wait outside. Lily was sitting in the car, sunglasses still on, scrolling her phone. "How'd it go?" she asked without looking up. "Fine," I said, staring straight ahead. The revelation. The following week a letter arrived. It was addressed to me, but Lily opened it. She always did. She read it in the kitchen, standing near the coffee maker. I was washing dishes. "Well," she said, almost singing. "Looks like they found something after all." She handed it to me like a dirty tissue. I dried my hands and took it. It was from a state-affiliated clinic. Subject: Behavioral and Cognitive Assessment Outcome. Recommendation for further evaluation and long-term care consideration. I kept reading, my throat tightening. Diagnosis: mild cognitive impairment with behavioral irregularities. Recommendation: monitoring and preparation for possible conservatorship or psychiatric evaluation for long-term placement. I folded the letter slowly, neatly, and looked up. Thomas stood in the hallway watching. He didn't say a word. Lily just smiled and walked away, humming to herself. They were doing it. They were laying the groundwork to have me declared legally incompetent so they could take control of the house, the accounts, every dollar they thought I was hiding. They believed that once I was out of the way, locked in some white-walled facility, the rest would be easy. They were wrong. Because I had recorded every conversation. I had backed up every file. I had scanned that letter and added it to my growing archive of evidence. This wasn't just a plan. It was a crime. And I wasn't going to let them finish it. The professional predator. The day after that letter arrived, I made a call. Not from the house, of course. I walked 3 blocks down to the public library, signed in on one of the old landline booths they had kept for emergencies, and dialed the number from memory. Alan Green had been Harold's attorney for over 30 years. He was the one who handled the quiet sale of our investment properties, the silent transfer of our portfolios, and the will that named me sole beneficiary to everything Harold had built, all $5.2 million of it. Harold trusted no one with money, not even Thomas. But Alan knew every line of our story. "Rebecca," he said when he picked up, his voice like smooth gravel, "I've been waiting on your call." We met that Friday in a quiet downtown office nestled between a dentist and a bakery. He poured me chamomile tea and shut the blinds before we spoke. I pulled out the USB flash drive, the small black notebook, and a stack of printed emails, letters, and copies of that so-called medical report. Then I pulled the recorder from my coat pocket. He listened. For nearly 2 hours, his eyes grew colder with every clip. Lily's voice rang out again and again. She's a parasite. She doesn't even know what she's signing. Just get her committed. When it ended, Alan exhaled through his nose. You've been patient, he said. Too patient. This is premeditated elder abuse, Rebecca. This is criminal. I nodded. She's trying to make me disappear. No, he corrected. She's trying to make you disappear legally. She wants power of attorney. Once she gets that, she can sell your house, close your accounts, and place you wherever she wants. And there's not a damn thing anyone could do after the fact. I sipped my tea. I need this stopped quietly, but permanently. He leaned back. I'll start with background checks. She's slippery, but if she's done this before, we'll know. 2 weeks later, Alan called me back. He didn't say hello. Instead, he said, her real name isn't even Lily. My spine straightened. I held my breath. Her legal name is Celia Howard. Lily is one of 5 aliases she's used in the last 10 years. She's been married 3 times before that we could confirm. 2 of the husbands were more than 30 years older than her. Both died within 1 year of the wedding. Causes of death? Natural causes, he said grimly. One had a heart attack, the other fell down a flight of stairs. And insurance? Both cases the widows collected substantial life insurance payouts within 90 days. Nearly $500,000 each. I put the phone down and closed my eyes. I wasn't just living with a manipulative daughter-in-law. I was living with a professional predator. Alan continued. She's under quiet investigation in New Jersey, but there was never enough evidence to convict. It looks like she's changed locations every 18 to 24 months, marrying, collecting, then disappearing. And my son? I asked softly. Alan paused. He's not innocent. He's not a mastermind, but he knows at least some of it. There's a paper trail, account access changes, beneficiary requests. There's no way he doesn't suspect something. My chest ached, but I didn't cry. Not anymore. I had cried the day Harold died. I had cried the day Thomas stopped calling me Mom and started calling me Rebecca like a stranger. But now I was out of tears. Now I was awake. They think I'm weak, I said. They're counting on it, Alan replied. I looked out his office window into the gray New York sky, and I felt something settle in me. Not anger, not grief, something sharper, something old and unbreakable. They won't see what's coming, I said. Alan smiled. Let's make sure they don't.